sincerely do apologize for the technical hitch over there. We are gladly very sorry for that. Let's still maintain on Farmers' Day. The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana have raised concerns about challenges faced by the country's agricultural sector and urged the government to shift focus from ceremonial events to addressing critical issues. According to the association, while it was important to recognize farmers' effort through awards, these celebrations have failed to translate into real solutions. In a statement congratulating farmers on the occasion of the 40th Farmers' Day celebration, the PFAG called for redirection of resources meant for ceremonial events to address the issues that affect farmers on the ground. Quoting, "On this Farmers' Day, we call on the government to direct resources, attention and energy toward resolving the pressing issues." Part of the statement read. Now, the PFAG stated that despite the dedication of these farmers, the government has failed to implement meaningful reforms. Farmers continue to struggle with high cost of production, inadequate agricultural infrastructure, insufficient irrigation facilities, and inadequate storage, poor roads, and limited market infrastructure, the statement read. The association also expressed disappointment in the government's response to the agricultural sector's challenges. The association further criticized the government for its lack of action on pressing issues, including the high cost of input, poor roads, inadequate irrigation facilities, and limited access to mechanization services. Still on Farmers' Day, eco-conscious citizens environmental group have called on the government to show genuine concern for the plight of farmers across the country by uprooting the canker of galamsey in the country. A statement released by the group argued that the government is laying lip service to farmers nationwide. The statement says while the government is claiming to address the concerns of farmers, on one hand, it's supervising the destruction of water bodies and farmland through galamsey activities. The statement reads, and I quote, "We face an existential threat, but the current administration and the opposition parties appear more focused on empowering small-scale miners than on protecting farmlands and livelihoods of farmers and fishermen. They appear to ignore food security concerns," unquote. Eco-conscious citizens further called on the government to deploy the police and military to remove all miners and mining equipment from our water bodies, forest reserves and farmlands, and of course repeal LI 2462 and ensure that there is no mining or logging in forest reserves or global significant blood diversity in the mining communities. Joining us on the line to have a conversation on this is the Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association, Bismarck Note. Bismarck, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Now, today is Farmers' Day, and instead of we celebrating farmers, unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, we're talking about galamsey activities. How has galamsey impacted farmers in the country?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. And once again, let me also add up to the voices of wishing our fellow farmers a very happy Farmers' Day, and also commend their resilience in the midst of these challenging times. Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, as a farmer organization, are not really against the celebration of Farmers' Day. Indeed, we recognize that it is important and crucial to celebrate the efforts of farmers who toil very hard to produce for us, for consumption, for industry, and even for exports. Where we have a challenge is the sort of two-faced approach that we are seeing from our government with regards to the plight of our farmers. If you recall, over the past years, there's been a lot of discussions around the effects of galamsey on the general country and in particular on food security. We've highlighted issues where farmers' livelihoods have deeply been impacted because of galamsey. There are several instances where farmlands have been taken over by these illegal miners. There are instances where water bodies that are being used for irrigation purposes have been heavily polluted that we are not able to use. And there are several instances where the livelihoods of fisher folks have been greatly impacted because of Galamsey. So we were expecting that since the calls for an end to Galamsey became very high, the government would have taken a much more radical approach in dealing with this canker, not only for the country, but also for food and nutrition security. But what we see is totally different from what we expect. We all witnessed the announcement that the government made to fight the Galamsey. But I can tell you on authority that if you go to the various farmlands, Galamsey is still ongoing. Our water bodies are still being polluted. So how is it even possible that the government can deny the sufferings of the farmers on one hand, and then turn around and say that they are also celebrating the same people? It's for us, it's marks of hypocrisy. So if government is really committed in addressing the plight of farmers and they are committed to celebrating farmers, then the key issue that affects farmers, such as Galamsey, should be an issue that should be of utmost priority to government. We can't find government on one hand trying to protect those doing illegal mining, destroying our environment, destroying our farms, but the other hand trying to celebrate the same people who are victims of the destruction. That's something that we can't take. So that's how come on this Farmers' Day, we are drawing attention that if governments want to show that they are indeed committed to the fight, to the plight of the ordinary farmer, then the issue of illegal mining should be something that should be on top of their priorities, and not the farmstead that they are organizing. Yes, my brother.
Hello, Bismarck. So I just want to find out from you, beyond Galamsey, what are the key, I should say, plight of farmers, aside from the Galamsey issues that you have raised as a major concern?
Well, in our press release, we actually highlighted some issues. Some of these issues are perennial. They've been with us since time immemorial. And it appears that no government is ready to take the bull by the horn and solve it. So we mentioned issues around irrigation, where we have very limited and very poor irrigation facilities, which up to now we have seen no lights. The One Village, 1D was a total catastrophe that we have seen no benefit on that particular program. Access to mechanization is still a major issue, where there are several farmlands who do not have access to simple equipment and even tractors. Access to storage is a major problem. Access to finance, farmers having access to good credit is a major problem. Now, on top of that, even for this year alone, we witnessed two major interventions that we thought was going to bring some relief to farmers. But again, government showed their lackadaisical approach towards it. The first one had to do with the dry spell that affected farmers in the 8 regions of the country. If you recall, government announced that from the 10th of October, they were going to start the distribution of relief items to the affected farmers. As I'm speaking to you now, that particular promise is for sale. If you go to the grassroots to ask the farmers who have been registered, they are not sure when they are getting these relief items. On top of that is the PFJ 2.0, which is the major flagship program of the government. If you look at what the PFJ was designed to do, in terms of working with the private sector aggregators to provide all services and inputs for farmers, and I mean all services, mechanization, extension, advisory, storage, financing. On top of that, providing inputs which are of preference to the farmers. That is the actual design of the PFJ 2.0. But if you look at what is being implemented, it totally deviates from the PFJ 2.0. Farmers had farms, they are not able to get any service to be rendered to them. Farmers registered, and up to now, they've not gotten any input support from any aggregator. What we hear is that there are politicians who have even taken over the fertilizer and they are giving it to their cronies. So you could tell that even government-owned priority projects, that's the PFD 2.0, which was meant to address the farmers, it's not even implemented well. So that one, in the relief support system, which is not even forthcoming, also adds up to the growing concerns of farmers. So how do you neglect all these things that you even promised for the farmers? But then you turn around and organize a farm fair to celebrate the same people that you denied.
So Bismarck, you want to say that celebrating the Farmers' Day today by the government is a sham?
Yes, more or less, because you can't pretend to celebrate the same people whom you've ignored their plight. That's the whole thing. The farmers have genuine concerns. At least let us even show a demonstration of your commitment to address these problems. But you're not showing those demonstration. But you flip around and you are celebrating it. So it's like we are playing, or in lighter ways, we are just being hypocritical. You are showing to the world what you think you are doing, but in reality, we know you are doing opposite. So for us, even the monies that you are using to celebrate this Farmers Day, you could have used that money to channel into one important resource for the farmers to use. But you are going to use that, bring the dignitaries, sit down, have a fanfare, and make bold speeches. When in reality, we know that the ordinary farmer will not be moved by that. So for us, I think that the focus for us on Farmers Day, it should be a day of reflection. It should be a day that government should take the bull by the horn and address the issues facing the farmers, address the issues of galamsey. The PFD improve upon the implementation of PFD. Issues around farmers accessing equipment, finance, and deal with those issues. When you deal with them, it will get to a point we all agree that government is being supportive of farmers, and we all celebrate together. But you can't be ignoring those things and expect us to join in celebrating farmers when we know that genuinely you do not have good intentions for them.
Bismarck, thank you so much for having the conversation with us. We do appreciate your time very much. Also joining us in the conversation is the Executive Director for Eco-Conscious Citizens. Good afternoon, Awola Sewa.
Good afternoon.
Now, your outfit, in fact, you personally have constantly said that we are living in an existential threat. And right now, you're also saying that government is playing lip service with farmers. How so?
Well, they're paying lip service. If you really care about the farmers and their livelihood, you would be robustly acting to put an end to illegal mining. We know that the illegal miners are destroying farmlands, they are polluting our water bodies. Then what will be left with the fishermen and the farmers? There is no concern for them whatsoever. All we are thinking about is mining. And let me tell you what is happening in Atron. In Atron farmers. Today we are marking Farmers Day, and ironically, 4 farmers have been arrested and are currently being taken to the magistrate's court. What is their crime? For months upon months, they've been complaining about illegal miners, not only destroying their farmlands, but poisoning the Atronsu stream, the only source of drinking water to the Atronsu community, which is obviously impacting on their livelihood. I myself have complained to the police. I myself have complained. Anyway, they decided that they should be active citizens and not spectators. And they are alleged to have burnt an excavator. The police have acted very swiftly, arrested them. They have not even had time to speak to their lawyers, and I'm being told that they are being arraigned before court. Contrast that to the illegal miners who were destroying the landscape, polluting the only source of drinking water, not being arrested. At a certain time, they were arrested and promptly given police bail, and they continued with the illegal mining. So how do I see that there's any concern for farmers? Who without farmers will all have nothing to eat. We're not going to eat gold, are we? So I believe that the whole marking of Farmers Day is hypocritical. We have no concern whatsoever for our farmers.
Awola, your group is also asking for the government to deploy military and police officials. I believe you know also that they have done that.
Well, how have they done that? If you go once and you don't do it robustly, maybe before you even go there, the legal miners know you're coming, and they take the necessary action. What has actually been done in a consistent manner? As we speak, licenses are being issued. Forest reserves are full of illegal miners. So I'm not quite sure that what we ask for is being done. We want an end to mining in forest reserves. We want an end to mining in forest reserves. We want all miners to leave our water bodies. As we speak, there are still miners destroying water bodies. So what exactly is going on? And I want to repeat for every listener, look at the case of the Atronsu farmers who are trying to protect their landscape, trying to protect the only source of drinking water, and they rather have been arrested, whilst the illegal miners who are poisoning the source of water. And remember, poisoning water, even in wartime, is a war crime. It's a very serious offense. The criminals are being let off, and rather the activists who are trying to protect the water have been arrested. I think this is a dark day for Ghana. I'm very disappointed in what is taking place on Farmers Day, the irony of it all.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. She is the executive director of EcoConscious Citizens, Awula Selwa. We do appreciate your time. Well, she says it's very unfortunate that we're celebrating farmers in this crucial state where galamsey is still a major concern to farmers. Away from that, let's do some more news. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has launched the National Credit Scoring System, branded as My Credit Store. This groundbreaking initiative aims to transform credit access for Ghanaians, providing a streamlined cash-free way to make purchase and fostering a culture of financial responsibility. The microcredit store system, which has been developed in collaboration with the private sector partners, introduces a credit scoring model designed to make it easier for citizens to secure loans and financing.
Yes. During my tenure as Deputy Governor at the Bank of Ghana, one of the problems that we sought to address was the issue of access to credit and the high-risk premium which banks used in setting interest rates. As the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank, we saw that at the macro level, we were able to bring down inflation, bring down interest rates, and we were in single digits and all of that. But bank lending rates were stubbornly high, and that disjoint was the cause for concern. A major constraint to accessing credit generally and reducing interest rates has been the existence of asymmetric information in the credit markets. Lenders generally cannot be certain about the credit worthiness of borrowers with the absence of credit information. We did not have at that time a legal and regulatory framework for credit reporting, and therefore did not have credit reference bureaus. So, to make sure we were able to fill this gap, I called Mrs. Elsie to be in Ghana. The availability of credit information is generally accepted to be crucial for the development and maintenance of an effective financial sector. Borrowers tend to have a natural incentive not to reveal negative information about themselves. The lack of a credit information system therefore increases the risks of lending and causes financial institutions to provide less credit. The credit reporting system in Ghana would provide timely, accurate, and up-to-date information on the debt profile and repayment history of borrowers, and would lead to a number of benefits, including the reduction of information asymmetry between borrowers and lenders, enabling financial institutions to make informed decisions about the allocation of credit, reducing default probabilities of borrowers as they seek to meet their obligations in a timely manner, improving access to credit facilities by small and medium-sized businesses, enabling the central bank to monitor systematic risk on an aggregate basis, also promote the development of the mortgage market and promote financial stability and efficient allocation of resources in the Ghanaian economy.
Away from that, let's do some labor news. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission has called on the Health Service Workers Union to retract its statement, alleging the Commission has abandoned the negotiation on its allowances and conditions of services and apologized accordingly. Speaking at a press conference today, the Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Engineer Benjamin Arthur says the Health Workers Union acted in bad faith. With a press release, he stated that the delay in the negotiation to review the collective agreement between the government and members of the Health Service Workers Union of TUC is not as a result of a deliberate neglect by the commissions, adding that the Health Service Workers Union should retract the press statement released yesterday, and they have released a press statement. Let me just run you through exactly what they have been saying. So it says that press release, immediate release to all media houses, which ABC, your media partner, is also part of it. It says that the Fair Wages and Salary has at all times shown great commitment towards the negotiation of conditions of services for members of the Health Service Workers Union in line with the Section 97 of the Labour Act 2003 at 651. It goes on to say, after HSWU submitting its proposal, the parties signed rules of engagement on Wednesday, 17 April 2024 to commence negotiations. Again, it says that ever since there have been several meetings with the HSWU to negotiate their conditions of services. On 9th October 2024, the parties met to conclude and sign an agreement at the tail end of the meeting. Well, let's actually take a bite or listen at what has been happening from the Fair Wages and Salary Commission. We are back with some more updates.
This would be their communication to the public. We will not have admitted the fact that we should accept new items for negotiation. If we knew that they were going to cite us for delays, we would not have accepted any. And I have a copy of the invitation also here. Yesterday's meeting, they received the invitation on the 5th of November. The question is, why were they in a hurry, hours before the meeting, to just go and issue such a threat, a press statement, and circulate it nationwide? What was the motive behind? We would want them, we want the leadership of the HSWU to retract the said press statement, because it's a show of bad faith, and issue apology, because it is by listening to their plight that we have come this far. We were just about concluding, but when they brought their demands, we thought that, well, as a government team that is very passionate about the well-being of its staff, definitely should not throw away such demands because it has come at the tail end of the negotiation. So that was admitted. They should withdraw that intimidation, and we believe that that will pave way for fair practice, for a harmonious industrial relation. It will create the peaceful atmosphere for all of us to continue to engage.
That was Engineer Ben Arthur over there speaking. My reporter, Derek Kumukisidu, is actually on standby. Kumi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Eric.
What actually has been happening from the Fair Wages and Salary Commission? We just also played the bite of Engineer Ben Arthur. What exactly has he been saying?
All right. So the Fair Wages and Salaries, they held an emergency press conference at the Fair Wages Salary Commission headquarters here in Accra, which they were saying that only for them to, like, they just had the news yesterday that the health workers,
Hello, Kumi.
Hello.
Yes, if you can position yourself a bit well so we can hear you properly.
Okay.
Yes.
So.
Hello. Well, it looks like technology this afternoon does not want to be your friend. We will try to establish contact better with reporter Kumi to give us more update on that. But they said they want the institution to retract and actually apologize for that. Let's do some more news, and we are your election poll center. Let's actually go straight to Parliament, where Murtala Mohammed, the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, has dismissed the idea that only the majority caucus has the authority to decide the parliamentary business, labeling it as a complete falsehood. His comment comes on the back of the assertion made by the leader of the NPP caucus in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, that only the majority caucus has the capacity to decide on the business of the House. Speaking on ABC in the morning, Mohammed described this claim as a lie, adding that the ability to run parliamentary affairs does not rest solely with one side of the House. This follows an unidentified or indefinite adjournment of the Speaker by Alban Bagbin.
In fact, he also said, and I nearly forgot this, that only they have the capacity to call for a business committee meeting. That's a lie. That is a lie. Business is the business of government. And the majority leader is the leader of government business in Parliament. He brings business. But he cannot bring business without the approval or the consensus of the other side of the House and the Speaker and his clerk. Now, if you listen to Afenyo, he said that the NBC cannot call for a business committee, neither can the Speaker call for a business committee meeting. That it is only the majority, in this case he still describes himself as the majority leader, that they can call for a business committee meeting. That is so ignorant. Assuming you call for a business committee meeting and the other side of the House, the NBC decides not to attend, the Speaker and the clerk decides not to attend, can you have a business committee meeting? Business committee. In fact, he also said, and I nearly forgot this, that only they have the capacity to call for a business committee meeting. That's a lie.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Murtala Mohammed, also stated that Speaker Bagbin did no wrong to adjourn the House indefinitely and cannot be cited for contempt for failing to communicate or acknowledge the order of stay of execution on him by the Supreme Court. In an earlier interview on ABC in the morning, the legislature explained that Parliament is not an extension of the Supreme Court and hence cannot be directed as to what to do and what to do by the Supreme Court.
We are head to, I think they are making a very big mistake. The Supreme Court has an exclusive jurisdiction to interpret laws. Afenyo didn't go to court asking the Supreme Court to interpret any law. Afenyo didn't go to court asking the Supreme Court to determine whether the ruling of Speaker Bagbin was legal or not. Afenyo didn't go to court to do that. The Supreme Court cannot be seeking to direct Parliament as how Parliament works. That's the first point. And let me also state, and I urge my other colleagues to go and read the writings of Professor Montesquieu, John Locke and Co. on the basis of separation of powers, checks and balances. I have heard some communication as though the judiciary is more important than the legislative arm. That is completely misleading. In separation of powers, each of the three arms are supposed to have equal powers, such that they can check each other to the extent that one arm may not abuse the power that is given to it by the people of this country. That is the first point. As a matter of fact, in a democracy, Parliament is even more important than the judiciary. And I'll give you the reasons.
Constitutional lawyer Kwame Odofo has criticized the Speaker of Parliament for what he described as a blatant disregard for the Supreme Court order. According to him, the Speaker's failure to communicate or acknowledge the order of stay of execution by the Supreme Court on him only undermines the authority of the highest court in the land, but also poses a risk to the balance of power between the judiciary and the legislature. He spoke in an interview on ABC in the morning.
Clearly, he's very angry, very livid, but that's not where we are. That's not what we need. What we need is, how do we resolve this impasse that we find ourselves in? Now, the Speaker went to Supreme Court and he sought to vacate the orders that were made previously by the Supreme Court. That being the case, Supreme Court has now ruled and come out with certain orders. Now, the Speaker then has to now officially, formally communicate the orders made by the Supreme Court to the members of Parliament. And that in itself will resolve this once and for all, because the effect of the decision of the Supreme Court is that the orders that were made, or the declaration that was made by the Speaker on the 17th of October, no longer holds. And therefore, the status quo ante, which is what existed before, is now the current position of the law.
Joining us to have a conversation on this is the Communications Officer of the Parliamentary Network Africa, Clement Akolo. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yesterday we spoke to you about what we are supposed to be expecting the members of Parliament, both the minority and majority, do. And after that, we have seen some interesting occurrence in Parliament. In fact, right now, the Speaker says that he has adjourned the House again indefinitely. Do you see the impasse in Parliament ending anytime soon per yesterday's occurrence?
Let me say that we are very, very disappointed at the turn of events in Parliament. We are extremely concerned about what is currently ongoing. It appears that we have not learned anything. We are still on our high horses, not wanting to compromise on the issues. But we are really, really disappointed that the things turn out the way it turned out yesterday. And we are also very disappointed about the NPP caucus for calling the House and also not attending. Even if they have any issues, we're expecting that they will be there so that those issues will be dealt with. And not just the NPP caucus, but the entire leadership of Parliament, including Mr. Speaker himself, we are equally concerned and disappointed about the turn of events, because it appears we have wasted 2 weeks from the last adjournment indefinitely, and this adjournment that happened yesterday. It means that we did nothing. We didn't consult. We didn't reach a compromise on anything. We just wasted 2 weeks and came back with nothing. So we are really disappointed at the turn of events.
So judging from, should I say, the power tussle or tiff or whatever, I'm actually struggling to even identify which way to even identify happenings right now. But is a precedent being set by this Parliament good for the next Parliament and its subsequent ones?
Please ask the question again.
Well, so I was trying to ask that, judging from the recent happenings, the precedent being set by this Parliament, how are we supposed to envisage the happenings in the next Parliament and subsequent ones?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, this Parliament, we have said, is a very unique Parliament, and it affords us the opportunity to see the way forward and all the possibilities in our democratic system, especially in Parliament. This is the opportunity for us to set good precedents for tomorrow. And it is not a given that we will have this Parliament again, let's say, in the next Parliament. So we needed to take the advantage of this Parliament to put our democratic institutions and all the things that we needed to put it right. But it appears that we are failing at it. The precedent we are setting for tomorrow is not healthy for Parliament and the democracy that we are practicing. It appears that for the interest and the benefit that we will gain for today, we are sacrificing tomorrow. And we are thinking that our people who are supposed to be the watchers of our space are not doing so with clear mind and with clear eyes on the national interest. And we think that this is problematic, and we must look at it carefully to ensure that we have a healthy democracy tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clement Akolo. He is the Communications Officer of the Parliamentary Network. It has been a very great conversation since yesterday. He also has been speaking to us today as well, still in Parliament. Well, let's just remind you that we are your election poll center. move on to some more stories where President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has granted executive approval for the elevation of 15 districts and municipalities. The decision was taken under Section 3(1) of the Local Government Act 2016, Act 936, following a request from the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. In a statement released by the Sector Minister Martin J. Mensah-Kosa on November 7, the government announced that 2 municipal assemblies, namely Pong Katamanso and Techiman, have been promoted to metropolitan status. Additionally, Gomwa East District Assembly has also been upgraded to a metropolis. While 12 other district assemblies have been elevated to municipal assemblies. These are Bole District Assembly, Ifija Kwabre South District Assembly, Achinwa Kunya District Assembly, Achinwa Mwabieja North District Assembly, Obuasi East District Assembly, Setre South District Assembly, Ningo Pram District Assembly, Anoga District Assembly, South Tong District Assembly, Shama District Assembly, Tachima North District Assembly, Pru East District Assembly accordingly. Now, according to the statements, the upgrade will become fully effective upon the completion of all legal and administrative requirements. Further to this restructuring, the ministry noted that requests for the elevation of whole municipality to metropolitan status, as well as proposal to upgrade Offline North and Brim North District to municipalities are currently under review. Various politicians and petitions for the creation of new districts are being considered. Now, the elevation of these assemblies aim to improve local governance and strengthen administrative capacity, aligning with the government's commitment to decentralization and development across Ghana. Well, still with the president, he has said that government should solve the conflict in Boko instead of handing it over to an incoming government, especially Bawumia, as it would implicate him. He said this in relation to the ongoing conflict in Boko that has taken the lives of about 21 persons. Reverend Professor Azuma added that the deployment of the security service to the area is only a cost to the state, but rather the government should arrest the people involved. He spoke on ABC in the morning.
Managing this, as my colleague said, to hand over a Boko on fire to the next president. And I told them, I have been meeting government ministers, and I told the ministers, tell President Akufo-Addo not to hand this problem to any of the incoming president, whether it's Bawumia or John Mahama, because Bawumia is himself implicated because by virtue of the fact that he's a Mampus, you are going to make Bawumia's work much more difficult. Deal with it decisively before you leave. Akufo-Addo has done nothing. He has, and people turn around and accuse the people of Boko of killing themselves. When you have security there, when you have police and military there who have been huge sums of taxpayers' money, it's used to maintain them there. What is happening in Boko is a complete failure of the state to rise up to its responsibility. It's not about the people in Boko being barbaric or being lawless. Like my brother said, when you have a criminal act, you expect the police to act. You report to them and you let the police deal with it. But when you report, people get killed and nothing is happening. Nobody is arrested. What option do you leave the people with? So for me, the government to first of all act decisively. They should arrest Sedu Abagri. They should
Away from that, let's do some politics, where the vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Matthew Opoko Prempeh, has appealed to the people of Dagbon not to allow the opposition National Democratic Congress to cause division amongst them due to its discriminatory ethnic and religious policies. He made the call during the courtesy call on the overlord of Dagbon, Yana Mahama Abukari Gariba II, at the Bewa Palace in Yendim to seek for his prayers to ensure peace prevail during the upcoming election. He remarked that prayers is very important due to the current high stake of political climate, expressing concern over potential tensions as a December 7 election approach.
You live in Dagbon. You're in Dagbon. And you take your thumbprint and you can be Zabam Beke when you tap on that Zabol Albacasa. Blessings upon them. No Bol Albarca. And directions so that nobody gets into trouble. So there is only a chakaso to you out. Kafani, the solo, the Nangayi, Kadetin Barwani. That's what I come from. For the election itself, the people my king, it is not an easy battle. Anytime you want something good, the evil takes forward the first step. For those who know what is coming, are very much well aware those who want to prevent what is coming from happening. The New Patriotic Party, the MP government to walk.
Away from that, the convener of Election Watch Ghana, Mark Ewusi Akom, said it's going to be very difficult for the Electoral Commission to redeem its image and integrity with a few days to the election for the elections. He was speaking on the back of the press release from EC yesterday, which stated that providing all registered political parties and independent presidential candidates with soft copies of the certified voters register is not a necessity under the CI. Speaking on ABC in the morning, Mr. Ako charged the EC to be responsible for the duties it had been given to itself, stressing that the Electoral Commission has now become a state institution full of jokes. Away from that, the Member of Parliament for Medina Francis, Xavier Sosu, and 4 other MPs have introduced a private members' bill in Parliament to repeal the 10% withholding tax on winning from betting and gaming. In a letter dated November 7 to the Clerk of Parliament, the MPs highlighted the importance of this move, citing the current economic difficulties and the need for policies that alleviates the financial burden of Ghanaians. They argued that the tax on gaming winnings exacerbate financial challenges and limits the economic choices of citizens, especially in light of the economic impact of the domestic debt exchange program. Don't go away, we're back with some business and more stories to stay. In business, the former CEO of Stanbic Bank, Alhassan Andani, has expressed sharp criticism of the tax administration, describing the Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) as operating like a terrorist organization in its dealings with businesses. Speaking at the recent Ghana CEO Presidential Gals dinner, Mr. Andani argued that Ghana's current tax system is suffocating the private sector, hindering business growth and fueling corruption. He described how many CEOs and businesses now feel a sense of dread when dealing with the GRA officials. Mr. Ndani underscored the pressing need for tax reforms to simplify relations and reduce the number of taxes business face. He pointed out that some companies grapple with as many as 33 different tax obligations, a complexity that stifles business operations.
Spent all my life in banking, and it's been over 30 plus years. It's a long time. I've seen, FinSap, I've seen. So there was when government is broke, that's much more serious. Government had never been broke until we declared DDP. In the banking sector, no matter how long the government owed you money, ultimately they will pay you. Now, for them to come 2 years ago to say we cannot pay, that was significant. For a country that capital accumulation is already very weak, and when I say capital accumulation, only in 1990, when Amwabeng and Co were staging their coups, the highest capital was $25,000. So, i.e., if anybody had 50,000 Ghana cedis in your account in Ghana, at the exchange rate of 2.5 cedis to the dollar, it was 25,000, and you were seen to be rich. So if 1979, the richest person in Ghana was $25,000, and you just projected to now, what's the richest man in Ghana? Now, against such poor private sector capital accumulation, then we come, Mr. Vice President, and say we cannot pay bonds that we have issued, especially the private sector people. So that, for me, is the most shocking. And I would like to see maybe in the new government that we phase out the programs, phase out.
And that's all for business. We're back with some sports news. Do stay. In sports, the 24 teams competing in the 2025 African Cup of Nations will be finalized following the qualifiers ending on November 19, 2024. So far, hosts Morocco and 7 teams, including Algeria, Angola, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, and Senegal have qualified. The remaining slot will be decided in the last 2 rounds of matches scheduled for November 13th to 19th. Now, here's a quick overview of each group's standing and scenario. So, in Group A, we have Tunisia, who leads but Gambia, and Morocco's remain in the contention with Madagascar yet to win. Group B, Morocco is unbeaten with Gabon, likely to secure 2nd place. Central Republic still has a chance over them. And later in Group C, we do have Egypt, who leads, and Botswana, Cape Verde, and Mauritania also would compete for the 2nd spot. In Group D, Nigeria is first, with Benin and Rwanda in the race. Libya also seeks their first win over there in that group. And later in Group F, we have Algeria dominate Equatorial Guinea in 2nd, with Togo and Liberia eliminated over them. In Group F, Angola is undefeated. Sudan aims to hold on to 2nd, and Ghana must win to stay in contention, while expecting Sudan to lose on 2 matches. Now, Group G, Cote d'Ivoire leads with Zambia close behind. Sierra Leone and Chad fight for survival in that group. In Group H, Democratic Republic of Congo is on top, and Guinea is close, while Tanzania and Ethiopia need some points to secure that slot. And in Group I, Mozambique and Mali are tied at the top, with Guinea-Bissau looking to stay in contention. Now, Group J, Cameroon leads with Zimbabwe close behind, and Kenya and Namibia are in danger of elimination. In Group K, Uganda and South Africa face off, with Congo needing a win to keep their hopes alive. Finally, in Group L, Burkina Faso and Senegal have both qualified and will face off for group dominance. The tournament will be held from December 21, 2025 to January 18, 2026 in Morocco. We're back with some international stories. And International News, President-elect Donald Trump on Thursday announced that Susie Wells, one of his two campaign managers, will be his White House chief of staff, entrusting a top position to a political operative who helped the Republican win election. The appointment was the first of what is expected to be flurry of staffing announcement as Trump gets for a return to the White House on January 20 as gatekeeper to the president. The chief of staff typically wields great influence. The person manages White House staff, organizes the president's time and schedule, and maintains contact with other government departments and lawmakers. The Wells will be the first woman to serve as White House chief of staff. Let's just wrap the bulletin with some entertainment news. Now today, as we celebrate the hands that work tirelessly to feed our nation, thank you to all farmers in Ghana for your dedication, resilience and hard work. From all of us here at ABC, we do honor you. Let's take a bite of what we have compiled.
Perseverance and cooperation with government agencies during the course of the year.